Hello my lovelies and welcome to another video on my channel. Thank you very much for joining me today as always. This video is going to be about creating this mani. Oh, it's my first Christmas mani of the season. I'm so excited. I love Christmas. It's my favorite time of year for nail art. I just love the colors. I love the designs. I love the sparkle and the bling. So I had to get in, even though it's not quite December yet, but we won't worry about such things. So this is everything I used to create this mani. This Rudolph, by the way, before I forget, is one that I found inspiration off Instagram. So I will find whoever it was that posted that, and I will put their details up in the description box, but also in the top corner if I can find it. So hopefully I will have a good look for it, and I hope I can, because I just thought it was too cute not to use. I mean, how adorable is that? So everything that I used is here. So I used Perfect Gold. These two colors are optional. I use them as a basis for my glitter. So for those of you that have seen my videos on burnishing glitter, I always like to use a corresponding color underneath the color of the glitter that I'm using. So in this case, I had the gold and the red. So the closest colors I had were these two. So it's Madame Glam's Perfect Gold. This is a Blue Sky LT 130, which, oh my goodness, you must have seen this years ago. I've had this polish forever, it feels like. I also used a base coat. You will also need a top coat. I've got black gel paint here. I've got gold gel paint. You will need glitters. So I've got a holographic gold. I've also got a holographic red that I couldn't fit on the screen, so that's over here. You'll need a mixing palette. I also used two different sized dotting tools. Oops, things are rolling around. So I used the largest dotting tool I've got, and then a sort of a mid-size, and I also used my nail art brush. And I think that's everything that I use. So I'm sorry if this video jumps around a bit. Normally I'm a bit more organized when I do my nail art, and I always do my right hand, which is my dominant hand, so I like to get that out of the way. I always do that first. I can't really say that anymore because I don't do that today, mainly because I wasn't quite sure how my freehand and nail art was going to turn out. I'm not very good at brush work. I like to use dotting tools. I like to use glitters, water decals, things that don't take a lot of sort of artistic ability, mainly because I just don't have any, to be quite honest. But I really wanted to give this little Rudolph a try, and I'm so glad that I did. But as a result of that, I did do my left hand first, which is unusual for me. But I think you sort of see me swap hands, and that's why, because I wasn't quite sure how I would go with my abilities to do Christmas trees and Rudolphs and snowflakes. But as it turns out, I was really quite happy with the way that this turned out. And of course, I love the bling. Any holographic glitter just looks amazing when it's top coated. So yes, so I apologize if this video does jump around. I also apologize if I'm out of shot a few times. My camera stand has decided to pretty much pack up on me. I've actually got another one coming. I have ordered one, but I have a feeling it's going to get caught up in the Black Friday sale shipping delays. Plus, we've also had train delays for post coming from the eastern states to Western Australia, which is where I am. So yes, hopefully it will be here soon. But I do apologize if my camera angle is a little bit funny at times. That would be why. I think that's it. So yes, enough babbling. Let's get into it. So I'm just coming in with my nail art brush and dipping into that black gel paint. This is a lovely opaque color, or gel paint. So you'll see that initial black blob that I had on my mixing palette. You'll see a few bits of evidence in this of me changing my mind when I did this mani. I started out doing the reindeer eyelashes with Perfect Black, which is a gel polish. And of course I found that I did my first layer and I was going to end up needing to do multiple layers, because of course you need to do black gel polish very light coat so that it doesn't wrinkle in the lamp. And I thought I didn't want to have to do multiple coats. I just wanted to do the one, and then of course I remembered that I had black gel paint sitting in my drawer, so I grabbed that instead. So I just wiped off what I'd already done with the gel polish, because of course that's the beauty with gel polish. Until you put it in the lamp, you can just wipe and remove it. So that was what I did. Here I'm just coming in and cleaning out that black on my polish brush. So I could have used multiple brushes, but I decided not to. Probably wouldn't have saved me too much time in this process. But what you need to do when you're changing colors, instead of dipping your brush into alcohol, which dries out your bristles, what you can do instead is wipe off the color with a lint-free wipe, and then just dip your brush into the color that you're moving onto, a few times before you go on with your nail, because you want to make sure you get rid of every little bit of that previous color. So especially being black, I wanted to make sure I got rid of all of that. So I just dip it in the red a few times, roll the brush around on the mixing palette, and that gets rid of the black. It gets some nice red in there, and then my brush is ready to go. I ended up making my reindeer nose a little bit bigger than I originally anticipated. I was just going to sort of do it not quite around to the free edge, but I thought, given the shape of my nails at the moment, and of course it's Rudolph, you know, he's got a big red nose, so I just ended up going over the free edge there, and of course capping that color as well, so that color continued and it looked like a nice round schnozzy for the reindeer. I was actually really chuffed with how this reindeer turned out. When it comes to me and freehand nail art, it's always a gamble, which I generally end up losing. But in this case, it actually worked out really quite well, and I was really happy with it. But that's why I started on my right hand, which I don't normally do, but I was so happy with the way it turned out that I gave it a go doing it on with my non-dominant hand as well, and that worked out okay. Now I apologize for going out of focus a few times here. My camera really struggles when it comes to anything with glitter, and this gold gel paint is very glittery. It is beautiful. If you haven't got this gel paint, it really is lovely, but it is very glittery, and my camera does, I think any camera, I've tried a couple, and they always struggle to focus on it, so I do apologize for that. Hopefully you can see well enough what I'm doing. I'm just basically drawing a few, or dragging my brush more than drawing really, which is probably why it turned out okay, because I didn't have to do too much in the way of actual drawing, because that's when I run into trouble, because I have absolutely no artistic ability, which is a shame. I really wish I did, but anyway, such is life. But it does go to show that sometimes you think, oh, I probably won't be able to do that. It is worth trying. You know, challenge yourself, push yourself a little bit and see if you can do it. So I was actually really happy with the way this turned out. There I was trying to get it back into a little bit of focus for you, and I decided to bring those antlers a little bit higher up on the nail. So yes, that goes in. All of these gel paints are 60-second cure, so the gel polishes are 30, but the gel paints are 60. And especially going in with black, I would have done 60 seconds anyway. So here I'm just going in, I think I missed that on the camera, sorry, I forgot to press play after I'd cured it, but that's just a bit of base coat. I decanted a bit of base coat onto my palette, and I'm basically just covering over the nose. Oh, we missed the bit where I did glitter. Oh, I'm sorry, for some reason that didn't get filmed. Oh, I'm not sure what happened there, but you'll see me do it on my other nails. I do apologize. The reason I went in with base coat there is because I'd actually put some loose glitter on the Rudolph nose. I can't believe that didn't get onto camera. I'm so sorry. But I'll show you what I'm talking about. You'll see that on my next nails. Basically what I did was I put some red glitter into where that nose, where I'd cured that red gel polish, and I let that sit, and then I put some base coat over the top, and that's just to make sure that I didn't get any of that glitter polish into my top coat, which I don't want to do because this is a brand new top coat and I really don't want it getting glitter in it. This was a lovely top coat, by the way. It's the first time I'd used it, and I really loved the brush on it. It was really, really nice. It fit really nicely into that cuticle area. So this is the optional step, which I think I mentioned in my intro. This is me going in with a layer of gold, because I'm going to put some gold loose glitter on this nail. And whenever I use loose glitter, I go in with a base color that complements the color of the glitter that I'm using. And that achieves a couple of things, especially with when you're doing, what am I doing here? Burnishing, that's what we're doing. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a mental blank. When you're burnishing, it gives you a lovely depth of color. That's the main thing it gives you when you're burnishing your glitter in. If you are doing nail sugar, which is basically where you do a layer of top coat, you don't cure it, and then you tip your glitter directly onto the top coat and then do a cure. So you end up with a rough texture. Your glitter's never top coated. It gives you a nice rough sort of texture and look to the nail. In that instance, it gives you extra depth of color. But the other thing it does is over the time of your mani, oopsies, over the time that you're wearing your manicure, little bits of glitter sometimes do come off, especially if you're doing, you know, lots of housework and bits and pieces around whatever you're doing. You can lose bits of glitter, and if you've got the color already underneath, it is a lot less obvious because you're just seeing the same color. You know, you'll have the rest of the glitter, but you'll just see where there's that little gap in the glitter, you'll just see the same color. So it really does work very well. It's a nice little tip for you. If you don't do that, then give that a try. But you want to use a color that's as similar as possible to the glitter that you're using. So if it's something that's a significantly different shade, for instance, like a really light gel polish under a dark glitter, it's probably not as great because you'll just see a lighter color. So try and get as close as you can. I'm going in with this sort of Christmas red or Ferrari red polish, and the glitter I'm using is red, so it complements it very nicely. So yes, that's going off into the lamp to cure, and here is my glitter, my loose glitter. So when I'm doing burnishing, it's basically a 3-step process for me. So first of all, I always scoop the glitter onto my nail. If you haven't got a scoop, if you know if your little pot of glitter is not big enough, then just tip it over and tip the rest of the glitter into the lid or into something else. And then here I'm just pressing that glitter in to make sure that I've got the glitter pressed into every part of that inhibition layer. And then thirdly, I go in with my brush in a burnishing sort of sweeping motion to actually burnish that glitter in. I go in different directions, up and down the nail, backwards and forwards, side to side. And that just makes sure that every last bit of glitter is laying flat. And that's the best the best way that you can get the results. And when you've got a holographic glitter, the difference it makes to burnish it is just huge. When you see it in the sunlight or under like a halogen light, it just looks amazing. So here I'm just going in and I'm just cleaning the red off my scoop because I'm about to change my color and go in with this gold. So these two glitters, oh my goodness, I've had these for donkey's years. I bought these off eBay. Gosh, when I first started getting into nail art, so probably about 10 years ago, quite literally. And I remember thinking, oh, like they're little pots of glitter, they're not going to last that long. Oh my goodness, glitter lasts forever. Fabulous stuff. They were good size bags of glitter, but still I'm seriously impressed at how long I've had them for. But this gold is lovely. As you can see, it's got all sorts of different colors in it. It is a true holographic and it just looks lovely. So I'm now just going in. I got rid of that pot because that's like a towered pot, and it's really, yeah, it's a bit high, and I thought I'm just going to send this glitter everywhere. So I just moved that to the side, pat my glitter in as you saw me do with the red, and now I'm going in with that burnishing motion and just making sure that everything is laying nice and flat. And one good thing when your camera struggles to focus with holographic glitter is that you see the hollow more, which is actually quite useful. So it's not quite as bad as when it loses focus with the gel paints. Then you don't really see much of anything, which isn't very helpful to anybody. So there we go, that's all burnished in and looking lovely and shiny. Now I'm going in with a layer of base coat. And I just like to do this to make sure, as I said, I don't get any glitter in my top coat, but it also gives you an extra layer of protection for your glitter. So what you want to do with this, oh, and I'm out of shot, I'm sorry. I think I realise when I get back in shot. You want to float this base coat over your nail. You do not want to drag this brush down the nail. You don't want to risk dislodging any of that glitter that you've just burnished in so beautifully. So you want to go in with a good dollop of base coat, obviously not so much that you flood your cuticles, but hopefully you can see there that I have actually got a reasonable amount of product on that brush. And usually I end up having to put some, there you go, back into the brush. Which is what you want, or at least you want a good amount so that you're not dragging your brush down the nail, because that's when you're more likely to dislodge that glitter and upset your inhibition layer, and you might need to do your burnish again. So it's not the end of the world if you do that. By the way, there's a tip for you, a quick way to fix it. If you do drag it accidentally, somehow you've lost a bit of your glitter, all you need to do is go in with a base coat like I'm doing right here, cure that, and then go in with another layer of your glitter. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Just be very careful that you use that inhibition layer and don't drag. It's similar to what we're doing here. Just make sure that you do that properly. But you can do that. There's no reason you can't do an extra layer. So there's a bit more evidence of where I changed my mind. I was going to go in with some little gold Christmas decorations, and I decided not to. I decided to challenge myself. I think I'd given myself a bit of a boost doing my reindeer and having it turn out, so I decided to draw my freehand Christmas tree. And this is another one. Yeah, I found this on Instagram as well. I have to see if I can find out. There were different people, I think, that had the Christmas tree from the reindeer, so I'm going to have to look those up. And if I can find where I got the inspiration from, I will definitely tag it and let you know who that was from. But it's just a really nice way of doing it. You just sort of go in with parallel lines and then basically join the lines together. You do want to have a little bit of a curve in them, because it is supposed to look, a bit like a Christmas tree shape. It's not all straight lines, so you want to put in a little bit of a curve in there. And again, my camera is struggling to focus, I'm sorry. And then I just go in with a little bit of a trunk, a bit of the base of the tree, and then I just go in with a little bit of a star at the top. And it's very simple. It's a very easy little design, but it's actually really quite effective. I really quite liked it. I think next time I might try it, obviously maybe against, it would obviously look really good in green as well. I don't have a green sparkly gel paint, and I don't have like a Christmas green loose glitter. Otherwise I probably would have done it in green instead. So that might be something that I need to try and get hold of before next Christmas, because that would look really good, I think, if you did, that gold background and then the Christmas tree in green. But I actually didn't have a green. I thought I did, but I don't, so I'll need to fix that up for next year. And then I'm going in with this top coat, which I mentioned is new to me. I'm not sure if it's new to NSI, but it is a new top coat to me, and I really loved it. The shape of the brush is really, really good. It just gets into that cuticle area really nicely. It sort of splays out to the shape of your cuticle area, so it was really nice to work with. I really enjoyed working with this one. And then I'm going in and just top coating all of those glitter nails. My Rudolph was already top coated. We've done that first up, so that one doesn't need another coat. And then I'll go in and do my gold. And because I've put that layer of base coat over the top of that burnished glitter, I'm not going to get any glitter in my top coat, which is exactly what I don't want to do. So that's good. Because basically once you get glitter in your gel polish bottles, you're never going to get it out, no matter how hard you try. It's just not going to come out. So it's best to avoid it in the first instance if you can. If you can't, then the other option is to decant some top coat onto your mixing palette and just apply it with a normal gel brush. That's the other option as well. And then you don't risk getting any glitter into your top coat bottle. So there's usually ways around these things. If if you can have a separate bottle for top coat, then that also fixes it. So always lots of different ways to do things. And here we're coming in. I did the red gel polish and glitter off camera for my thumb, because you'd already seen it with the red and the gold on my fingers. So I did that off camera, but I was coming in to do a slightly different design, so I did film that. And I apologize for my hand being in the way there, but I was trying to get the dot as centered as possible on my nail, which meant that I had to twist my hand around. Because for those of you that have ever done that on your thumb, it's really tricky, especially with mine, because my thumbs aren't very straight. They're all a little bit bent and twisted, I think, like a lot of people's thumbs are, so it's always a bit of a challenge at the best of times. But anyway, we're going in and we're going to make an attempt at doing a snowflake, which again is something that I hadn't attempted before, but I thought, you know what, I was feeling brave. I'd done Rudolph, I'd done my Christmas tree. How hard can a snowflake be, right? I think this probably takes me the longest of everything that I did. But never mind, I think I did it once, and I think that's why my red is actually quite matte, because I'd done it once and then I wasn't happy with it because it wasn't centered enough. So that's another good reason, now that we mention it, to put a layer of base coat over the top of your burnished glitter. Because if you're going to do nail art over the top, if you make a mistake like I did, you can just wipe it off and you're not going to upset your glitter layer. If I didn't have that layer of base coat over the top, and I decided to redo my design, I would have lost all of that burnished glitter as well, and I would have had to have redone that. So another reason to put a nice big layer of base coat between your glitter and your nail art. Oh no, there you go. So there you go. That was the first one that I wiped off. I thought the lines were looking a little bit thick. So I wiped that off. And here we go in with attempt number 2. And this one I think actually does work out okay. So it just goes to show, you know, you can always have multiple attempts. That's the beauty of gel polish. Until you put it in the lamp, you can change it and mix it up as much as you like. I also learnt my lesson, as you can see me doing here, to move my thumb around. You know, there's nothing stopping you from moving your hand around as you need to get the best angle for what you're doing. And even if you're doing someone else's, you know, you can always move their hand around as well. Obviously not to the point that, you know, you hurt them. You've got to be careful of that, obviously. But there's nothing stopping you from moving it around. If it gives you a better angle, makes it easier to do what it is that you're doing so you get a better result, why not? Absolutely go for it. So I do that quite a bit, especially with the snowflake, not so much with the other designs, but the snowflake I definitely moved my hand around quite a bit. Even more so when I do my other hand, but I spare you the torture of watching that. I just show you doing my dominant hand, my non-dominant hand. So here I'm just going in with a slightly smaller dotting tool than I used for that center dot, and I'm pushing a dot at the end of each of those lines. Just a small dot, and then I think I cure it after that point. The thing with gel paint is I wouldn't flash cure it. I would always go in, once you pop it in the lamp, if you're worried about messing up your design, if that's why you're curing it, then go for a full cure, because if you make a mistake and you try and remove it with isopropyl alcohol as you normally would, then it can damage the part of the gel of the polish or the paint that you haven't fully cured. So I always make sure I do a full cure. Yes, it will take you a little bit longer, but you won't regret it if you come to make a mistake when you do your extra bit of detail. Then it's very handy. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just coming in here with a few little extra lines. And then that's my little snowflake done. I actually quite like the snowflake in gold. It was a little bit different. I thought about doing it in white, and then I thought I've got nothing else white on my nails, so I thought it might look a little bit strange. So I left it in the gold. And this gel paint you can put over the top of base coat, so that's another option. What I could have done is done a matte red nail and then put the snowflake over the top of that, and it would have stayed shiny because it doesn't need to be top coated itself, which is really handy actually. It's a really nice feature of the gel paints. They don't cure with a tacky layer. They can be placed on the top of top coat, even a shiny top coat. It's absolutely fine. And there I'm just putting my little center dot, giving it a little bit more oomph. And there we go, and then that's going in the lamp for 60 seconds. And then here we come in with our top coat again. So just pop that out of the way, use that as a little nail stand, why not? And I think you can see the brush there. Hopefully you can see what I mean, that the brush splays out really quite nicely and it fits around your cuticle area, which is not such a big deal on my thumb because I've got a wider thumb, but my finger nails, that cuticle area is quite narrow, so it's really nice to have a brush that's shaped appropriately. So that's pretty much it for this week. I couldn't resist getting into Christmas nail art, even though it is still technically November, but you know, details. It's all good. So no doubt there will be more Christmas designs coming up because I can't help myself at Christmas time. I'll dabble in other colors. So thanks very much for watching as always. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.